Hey friends, and welcome to the Unpack Show podcast with myself, Johannes Baloyi, and thank you for joining me because this is a place where we unpack the question we have in mind on the challenges we come across as we go about building and improving our lives. Friends, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you can be notified when we release a new episode. I think we can all share the same sentiment to say that life isn't all rosy and beautiful like we imagine it to see. And more especially in those moments where you look at someone else's life from a distance, you think that they're doing well. You think that life is beautiful and rosy for them because there are moments in life where life takes a different turn that we never expected. And I think our inability to navigate life through difficult times, it's the sole reason why we may feel like our lives has come to an end. And even though we all do go through difficult times, there are those who manage to come out of those difficult times healthy and strong. And there are those who are not able to actually come out of those difficult situations, those who die in those difficult situations. And that's why this week we are doing a book review of Breaking the Chains by Keatlegile Mabena. This is the most interesting and amazing book. This is the story of Keatlegile Mabena sharing his experience about how her mother was brutally murdered. And I think when I speak about life being all rosy and beautiful and being the times where in life, where life takes a different turn that we never experienced, I think in this book here, Keatlegile is sharing his experience on how there was a time in his life where he felt like his life has come to an end. But today, as we speak, he's now blossoming. He's now living a very healthy life. He's now stronger than before. And it is all because of how he managed to pull himself out of that devastating and difficult times in his life. So this is Breaking the Chains by Keatlegile Mabena. So, Keatlegile Moses Eskia Mabena is an academic. He holds a Bachelor of Social Science in Population and Development Studies. He attained his honors degree in Population Studies and currently doing his Masters of Social Science in Population Studies and Sustainable Development at the University of Northwest. He has well represented Northwest University at several PASA, which is the abbreviation of Population Association of Southern Africa, conferences as an academic author. He is a motivational speaker, an author, and a social entrepreneur. He believes in rising by lifting others up. Keatlegile has never been a person who sits back and wait for success to find him. He has always took a major effort to make sure that his dreams come to life. He is a true embodiment of Black excellence. He encourages others through the art of positive speaking. Keatlegile Mabena, the optimist, is an ambitious, passionate, and optimistic boy who resides at Moiletswane, near Brett's Northwest Province in South Africa. He is a brother of a lovely and a beautiful sister, Umphile Mabena. He has contributed on various radio stations, which includes Mabatu FM, Motsweding FM, and Northwest University FM. He has hosted seminars at his village which aim at assisting people of all ages to discover their purpose in life and also helping youth to unlock who they are and who they are meant to be. There's a beautiful line just in this profile of in this biography of Keatlegile Mabena that says, where it says that he doesn't sit back and wait for success to find him. When he was in those difficult moments in his life, he managed to walk himself out of those situations. That's why I'm saying that even though we all do go through difficulties in life, there are those who manage to come out of those difficult, healthy and strong. And there are those who die in those situations. That's why in this bio, he says that, and also helping youth to unlock who they are and who they are meant to be. What I love about this book, it's the subtitle that says that bailing out the imprisoned potential, power, and persistence. I think in life, and this is what Keatlegile said in this book, when he said that success, it's found within us. It's something that is already within us, and we are obligated to actually cultivate ourselves and take it out to life. That's why this book, it's about bailing the imprisoned potential and power and persistence. Because most of us, we do have that gift within us. We do have that talent within us. We do have that ability to walk us towards our destination, to walk us towards our, towards the things that we desire. But because of lack of knowledge, because of our inability to walk us out of those difficult situations, that's why we feel like our life has come to an end. That's why we feel like it is impossible for us to be able to walk us out of those difficult situations towards our destination. And let me read the back of this book. This is the summary of what this book is all about. Mental incarnation is an intellectual nightmare. Why are we living in bondage while the gate is so wide open? Why have we let the circumstances around us determine the quality of our lives? Why do you look at your life and feel depression, shaking from the very core of your soul? The answers may be that you have unresolved issues. I loved this statement. The answer may be that you have unresolved issues. If you are defeated in the mind, you will always lose, no matter how often you put up in a physical fight. Let me stop here for a moment to say that when I say that there are those who are not able to come out of this difficult situation in life, the answer may be that you have unresolved issues. One thing that I've come to realize about life is that as we are walking this journey towards our destination, walking this journey to fulfill the assignment that God has given us in this life, there are so many things that we have to unlearn so that we can be able to relearn life again. Because I've said it several times on the podcast to say that in this life, for us to be who we are, it is because of the knowledge that has been imparted, that has been installed in our mind throughout our entire childhood development by our parents and guardians. They gave us the information and knowledge that made us to be who we are today. And for us to be able to walk us from where we are to where we want to be, you may be in different types of situation, but for you to be able to walk yourself out of that situation, you need to learn new information. Information, it is actually what enables us to be able to walk us through to our assignment, to walk us through to our destinations in life. So let me continue. Pain is a circumstance, but suffering is a choice. It is not the pain that determines the quality of our lives, but our psychological reaction to the pain, which leaves us in a state we are now. Overcoming pain is not the easiest of all tasks because it turns out to be more excruciating than the pain itself. The essence that I get in here when he says that overcoming pain is not the easiest of all tasks because it may turn out to be more excruciating than the pain itself. Sometimes pain it can be one of the most intense things that we experience in life, but the journey on its own can be more painful than the pain itself. Because when you are walking in your own journey, looking at other people from the outside, you may think that they are doing well in life. You may think that people are not experiencing pain. People are not experiencing difficulties. So now your situation, your journey may be more difficult than your situation. Most of the time, I have found that our situation, it's not that they are difficult, but the journey we take towards our destination as we fulfill the assignment that God has given us, it's more difficult. Because you look at other people and think that other people are doing well. You look at your journey, you look at your destination, and between yourself and the destination, there's so much difficulties that you have to go through, so much difficulties that you have to be patient with yourself and be consistent in walking your journey, because consistency is one key element that actually allows us to be able to walk us through to our destination. And even inside this book, Keatlegile speaks about consistent and patience. And what I love is, I'm going to touch on chapter 1 of this book when he speaks about time. Being patient in the time. Being patient in the ways of the Lord. And being patient, realizing that your time will come. Never measuring your journey by the timeline of other people. And never being impatient with God. And I'm going to come up to this point to say that most of the time we question God to say that, when will this come to an end? When will this be over? And Keatlegile speaks a lot about it in this book, to say that sometimes we question God about our destination. We question God about our journey. We question God about our reality. We question God about who we are. Most of the time we can say that, I don't deserve to be walking this journey. I don't deserve to be worth deserving of the things that God wishes for me. Because you look at yourself, sometimes where we are, we may think that we don't deserve where we should be. We don't deserve the blessings that God has for us, because we undermine where we are. But God doesn't look at where we are. God doesn't look at where we have to go, what we have to go through. God looks at the bigger picture, the destination, where we should go. So let me continue. Ask yourself this question: how far would my life be if all this hurt didn't exist? The answer to this question is accurately self-discovery. I'm going to repeat it again. Ask yourself this question: how far would my life be if all this hurt didn't exist? The answer to this question is accurately self-discovery. I once read another book titled "Who Moved My Cheese" by Dr. John Dispenza. It's a book of two little mouse and two little people running in the maze searching for a cheese that will nourish them. So it was hem and haw after they discovered that the cheese has run over. The cheese has ran out, and now they have to go out and look for another cheese. So Ham, as he was, is it Ho and Ham? I don't remember quite well. But one of them, as he was embarking on a journey to search for a new cheese, he wrote on a wall to say that, if I was not afraid, what would I do? Sometimes we have to look beyond what we have to go through to take a close look at our destination, to take a close look at the bigger picture. Sometimes I think you just have to go through hell for you to reach heaven. Figuratively speaking, to say so, because sometimes you have to go through difficulties to endure the good things in life. And if you can ask yourself this question that Keatlegile mentions here, to say that, how far would my life be if all this hurt didn't exist? The answer to this question is accurately self-discovery. After you'd see with yourself that after you ask yourself this question, you're going to dive deep within yourself to ask yourself that, what are my fears? Let me look beyond my fears so that I can be able to keep walking in this journey. I'm continuing. You can develop self-esteem to bounce back from anything. Most people have their attention fixated on the pain rather than the purpose of why the pain is there to begin with. Let me repeat this statement because I love it so much. You can develop the self-esteem to bounce back from anything. Most people have their attention fixated on the pain rather than the purpose of why the pain is there to begin with. Breaking the chains defines what the purpose of your circumstances is. I believe that pain can teach you a lesson you can never learn from pleasure. I repeat, breaking the chains defines the purpose of your circumstances. I believe that pain can teach you a lesson you can never learn from pleasure. What I love, and this is what made me to be interested in reading this book, listening to Keatlegile sharing his life experience about how his mother was brutally murdered, having to go through a period in life where he felt like his life has come to an end. And finally, right now, he managed to walk out of that situation. That's why he says that breaking the chains defines what the purpose of your circumstances is. Because sometimes we get stuck in the pain, never realizing that pain has a purpose. Sometimes pain comes in order to teach us something that we can never learn, as he says in this book, from pleasure. Everything you want in your life is within your reading reach. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you activate from deep within you. As I said that success to me, I think, as you're walking in your journey towards your success or towards moving yourself out of difficult situations in life, you already have the ability inside you. You just need to take the time to cultivate it, to nurture it, to mold it so that it can come out beautifully sculpted. There's a quote by Michelangelo when he said that, and I quote, "The sculptor is already complete within the marble block. Before I start my work, it is already there. I just have to chisel away the superfluous material." And this is exactly what Keatlegile is saying here, that success is not something you pursue. Success is something that you activate from deep within you. You can, by reading this manuscript, unlock the treasure within you you never thought existed. So this book, it's about bailing the imprisoned self. This book, it's about bailing yourself out of those difficult situations. This book, it's about giving yourself an affirmation, saying to yourself that I, myself, can move myself outside of these situations. I, myself, I can walk through these difficult times towards my destinations. And Keatlegile start by quoting a scripture in introduction of this book in James chapter 1 from verse 1 to verse 4. And I like this scripture when he said that, when the scripture says that, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And I asked myself that, why faith? Why is this scripture talking about faith? What does faith mean? And faith is to say that believe in the unknown. Believe in the promises that God has made to you. In this life, God has given us so many promises. Even in this book, Keatlegile says the very same thing, that when you, that because you know that testing your faith produces perseverance. Faith and actually believing in the unknown actually strengthens our ability. It makes us to persevere even through difficult times, because in that moment where one can say that I can no longer do this in life, I can't do this anymore, it is in that moment where you lack faith. It is in those moments where you lost hope in the promises that God has given you, in the promises of God about your lives. So it is important that we have faith. It is important that we believe in God. We believe in ourselves. We believe in the ability we have to walk ourselves towards our destination. Because ever since we were born, up until this moment, we are in a journey. We are in a march. We are in a movement. The movement is not complete. And I believe that the movement is only complete when we die. So reading such books gives me faith, gives me hope, and they make me realize that I have to believe in the unknown, because this world, there's a belief that I have, and it's actually not only a belief, but it's a principle to say that this life, it's about discovery. We live to discover the things that we don't know yet. We live to discover the things that we haven't realized yet. That's why at the back of this book, Keatlegile says that you can, by reading this manuscript, unlock the treasure within you never thought existed. There are so many things in life that we never thought they exist. But believing in the unknown, we can see ourselves persevering and conquering, defeating and winning in the things that we never thought existed, accumulating the things that we never thought existed in our lives. So let me read the first paragraph of introduction in this book. It's so amazing. The first paragraph says that sometimes in life, we find our backs being against the wall and we cannot penetrate through the wall. The only option we have is to face life head on. We become badly broken. Pain cuts so deep that it shatters our faith. We live with bruises that are always bleeding internally, sometimes dying inside of us while we live. The trials and tribulations we endure push us so hard to a point we say, I can't live with myself anymore. And that's why I say that in that point in life where you say that I cannot live with myself anymore, I can't do this anymore, it's in that moment where you lost hope. It's in that moment where the vision is blurry. It's in those moments where your faith is lacking, where your faith is lacking in the promises that God has made in your life. That's why in the book of James chapter 1, specifically in verse 4, it says that let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Most of the time when we leave the work unfinished, and I mean that when we give up in the things that we do, we cannot become enough matured. Maturity comes, I believe that maturity comes in finishing the work that you have started, finishing the work that God has given you, finishing the work that is in your mind, telling yourself that I may be here, but I will at some point walk myself in this situation that I'm in. And if you can start the work and say, I will finish, and not finish, you can never be enough matured. You can never have sufficient knowledge that can actually give you the privilege to advise someone. Because I believe that when someone comes to you and say, I'm going through this kind of a situation, for you to be able to advise that person, you have to at some point have had to go through the similar situation, or even if it might not be the similar situation, but having to go through difficulties in your life to accumulate the knowledge and wisdom to a point that when you advise someone, you know that you are matured enough to give someone a very tangible knowledge, a sufficient knowledge, and impart them with wisdom that they can be able to use in order to finish the work that they have started in their lives. That's why the book of James says that let perseverance finish its work so that you may become mature and complete, not lacking of nothing in your life. And here Keatlegile speaks about how pain can shatter our faith. And this is to say that when you lose faith in the things you hope for, it is in that moment, like I said, where you feel like I cannot live with myself anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot walk this journey anymore because of that pain, that the situation that you're going through, they cut you a little by little inside. You start to bleed inside, and as you bleed, you start telling yourself that I'm giving up. I cannot do this anymore. And the Bible is one of the book that actually encourages us to keep walking in this journey of life. And I'm a believer that problems exist to teach us something that we don't know. And our perception towards our problems determines the outcome, which is the suffering or freedom. That's why at the back of this book, Keatlegile says that, I don't remember where. Oh, he says that breaking the chains defines what the purpose of pain is. Of what the pain is to begin with. Okay. The purpose of, breaking the chains defines what the purpose of pain is. Pain is there to begin with. Why pain exists to start with. So we have to realize that, like I've discovered, that pain exists to teach us something that we don't know about life. And when you allow yourself to go through pain, when you allow yourself to finish the work that you have started, at the end of when you reach your destination, you will be complete and not lacking of anything. And I remember back then, I once shared this little story that there were once young men who were picking up food inside the bucket. So there was a bucket at the in the middle. So they were coming from the other side to pick up food inside the bucket and jump to the other side of the bucket. So as they were passing to pick out food in the bucket, they were being beaten at the back. So several men came by, take out food as fast as they can to avoid being beaten to get to the other side. They came by, picked out food, passed to the other side, and just one man in particular, came out slowly to pick out food. He was being beaten so badly, but he took enough food and walked to the other side. And as he walked to the other side, he had enough food to sustain himself. And all of those people who were rushing in the process didn't have enough food to last them. So this is to say that in life, most of the time when we avoid pain, when we want to rush ourselves in this process of life reaching our destination, most of the time we find that when we cross to the other side, we don't have things that are enough to sustain us. Most of the time when we grow up, we realize that we don't have enough. We realize that we've never worked enough to have the things that will sustain us forever in life. And the people who are patient with themselves are able to pick up, are able to work, to endure, to persevere, and to be patient with to be patient with themselves as they are being beaten by the challenges of life and walking through difficult times in life as they pass to the other side. And as they go to the other side, they come to the other side having to have enough to last them in their lives. So let's go to chapter 1 of the book. And chapter 1 says that trusting the timeline. Trusting your timeline. So what I love about this book is how it's formulated, because Keatlegile starts by putting the scriptures of the Bible in this book. And here he speaks of Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22. The scripture in Isaiah says that, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. When God shuts the door, we often ask ourselves why. But one thing he never does is to explain himself. And this is to say that most of the time when we go through difficult times, this is the burning question that we ask ourselves, to say that, when will this be over? We are so impatient with ourselves, working throughout the process of going through difficult times. And when we are impatient with ourselves, asking God that, when will this be over? One thing that God never does, and he never does, is to explain himself. God allows you to go through difficult times because God alone has the blueprint of life. So next time when you go through difficult times in life, we shouldn't be questioning God as to when will this be over. It is okay to cry. It is okay to accept that you are going through difficult times. It is okay to accept pain, but realize that God alone He has the blueprint of our lives. And God alone knows exactly when will this be finished. And God is like a sculptor. God is taking out the pieces that are unnecessary, the pieces that are not needed for us to be built as a perfect and whole human being. And one thing only that we need is patience. So let's move to chapter 2 of the book. Chapter 2 of the book says, success is a choice, not a chance. And he quoted a quote by William Baloyi when he said that, and I quote, people can be willing to offer you a helping hand in order to transform you, but they won't do it for you. It's your choice. Most of the time, and I think this is the tendency we have as people, we have the tendency of giving the responsibility of our lives to other people. We want other people to do the work for us. And that's why we've normalized complaining about life, normalized complaining about lack of opportunities, normalized complaining that someone has done wrong, normalized complaining that whosoever hasn't done right by you. But can you, for once, take the responsibility to build your life? Take the responsibility to be your own leader. That's why here Khumulemo says that it is your choice. And I highlighted something here in chapter in the second paragraph of chapter 1 to say that every day you must wake up to live a trace. And this has given me the essence, and this is one of another principle that I live by, to say that as we live in this life, we have to leave a trace. We have to make sure that our footsteps will be able to be an example for the ones who are coming at the back, for the generation that is coming after us. I believe that the world that we live in today, it is the world that was built by the leaders who came before us. The world that we live in, all of the things that we use, everything in this world was built and established by the people who came before us. They left us the good things. They left us the blueprint that we can use to walk ourselves towards our destination. And it is also our responsibility in this day and age for us to be able to set out an example, to build a blueprint that the generation that is still coming to be able to use it to build their own life. That's why here he says that people can be able to give you a helping hand, but people can never help you to transform your life. It is your choice. And the beginning of the first paragraph of the second chapter, Keatlegile says that gone are the days when our forefathers and mothers used to sing apartheid is to blame lyrics. Those lyrics do not make sense anymore. Excuses are no more the order of today. And I think this is the hard truth to accept about life, to say that we are so used to blaming. We are so used to blaming the government. We are so used to blaming our parents. We are so used to blaming school system, even though it is to be blamed. We are so used to be blaming our friends, our partners, all the people. We are putting we have grown to put the responsibility of our lives to other people. So gone are the days where we complain about life. Right now, I think we live in a time whereby, for the first time in the history of humanity, it is so easy to do things. And saying that is easy, it doesn't mean that there won't be any challenges. There will be challenges. But to say it's easy is to say that even though there are challenges, but it is still simple. It is still possible. You can still make it. Back in the days, if you can sit down with our great grandparents to ask them about life, it was difficult to start a business. It was difficult to go to school. It was difficult to further your studies. Some of them, it was difficult to get jobs. But right now, all of these things that I've mentioned and other things that I never mentioned, it is so simple and easy to do them. The only thing that we need, like I quoted and highlighted in this book, are 2 simple steps to realize that it takes time. When going through the process of building our lives, we shouldn't question God. When going through the difficulties of life, we should be persistent, persevere through difficult times. And number 2, in the second chapter, to realize that success, it's a choice. No one can do it for you. It is your choice to take a stand and do it for yourself. So guys, if I can do the book review, it can take forever. Excuse me. So this is just the little that I thought I would share in this book review by what I've learned. And just in closure, after reading this book, one thing that I took out of this book is the power of identity. I've never reached the chapter that speaks about the power of identity, but let me check which chapter is it. It's in chapter. Which chapter is it that speaks about the power of identity? The power of identity. Oh, it's in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In chapter, it's in chapter 10, I think, where he speaks about redefine your identity. This is one of the most beautiful chapters that I love out of this book. And this is to say that we need to be careful as to who and what we identify ourselves to and the people we identify ourselves with. Because the people and the things we identify ourselves with, whether or not we like it, those things, sometimes we don't know how people got to where they are. People, one of the hardest truths that I ever had to accept about life is that sometimes people are not who we think they are. You just need to redefine yourself. Know exactly who you are. Rely on yourself. Let God be your motivation. Go out there, seek for knowledge, but never identify yourself with other people. Use knowledge to build your life, but never and never ever identify yourself to other people. Because if you identify yourself to other people, you are going to, it's like abandoning your true self, abandoning who God said you are meant to be. So yeah, never mind my voice and keeping on coughing. It's winter, it's June, and I'm having a bit of flu. So yeah. So yeah, this is what we had for you this week on the Unpack Show podcast. So guys, this is the cold season. Let us take care of ourselves. And don't mind myself wearing a short sleeve. This room I'm in, it's a little bit warm. So yeah, that's why I was wearing a short sleeve. So just like I said, I would recommend everyone to go and purchase this book. And on our Facebook page, on descriptions, I'm going to leave the cell phone numbers of Keatlegile Mabena, so that if you ever interested in getting this book, you can contact him and get the book. And I would advise you guys, just go and buy the book. Books are meant to give us knowledge. Knowledge is meant to elevate us, elevating us to who we imagine to be. So if you ever want to be who you imagine to be, go back and buy books. It's not only this book, so many books to buy, but this one, it's a recommendation. And just a warning, I'm not promoting this book. This is just to share with you what I've learned from this book, with the love I have for reading books. So till we meet again on the next episode, be blessed, be healthy, and as my role model Vusi Tembekwayo once said, have the spirit of the underdog. Peace.